Okay, I want to talk to you a little bit about something, and maybe this is redundant. I've asked all the staff in the last couple of days if they felt this was redundant, and they didn't think so. But we've been pretty much building to this, and I think it's important that you can gain confidence and explain this to your friends. Now, we've put all of the, I mean, honestly, here's the, what is it, 8-page script. Here's the 8-page script that all of the research that everybody did this morning and all afternoon, and I've just said, nah, I'm not going to use any of it. I just want to talk to you about it. But all of the research and all of the stuff on here that I'm going to show you is up. Where did you put it, Tiffany? The Blaze or Glennbeck.com?
It'll be up on Glennbeck.com.
Okay, it'll be up on Glennbeck.com. And we're only using one of these as an example, but you'll be able to do this on your own on everything, and it's important that you do, because there is a silencing that is going on, and they're playing a game right now, and if we don't expose it, if you don't know it, if your neighbors don't know it, and predict and show how it's happening, we lose at this game, and it is an all-stakes game. I mean, this is it. We've put every chip on the table. They've done it. Every chip on the table, they've done it, because I think we're in an endgame scenario. I told you a minute ago that, you know, I've been worried. I feel things speeding up. I'm not saying anything that George Soros hasn't said in the last 6 weeks. He said that there's going to be civil unrest this summer. There's going to be a collapse. There's going to be people out in the streets. They will beg the American people, will beg the government to step in and solve it. And he said the Constitution will be thrown out of the window, and un-American things will happen. That's George Soros. That's not Glenn Beck. That's George Soros. But my feeling is that they're designing it. And if you understand how the game is played, and if we play against them, if we just do not fall into their hands and do not remain silent, do not help them, do not enable them. I was just reading the scriptures this afternoon at lunch. My wife was here and got the guys together, and we were reading the scriptures, and we came to the place where they're talking about the things are getting tough, and a lot of the people that are standing with them flee. They're afraid and they flee. There are going to be a lot of people that flee soon. A lot of people in this audience, a lot of people elsewhere. They will flee because they will see the big hand of government crushing. You'll see the big hand of media crushing. And they need to make examples. That's why we must be Martin Luther King's. We must live our lives the way he did. And we must read the scriptures the way he said to. And we must be as disciplined as he said to. Alveda King is going to be here tomorrow. And if we have time, I want to talk to her about freedom of speech. But I want to talk to her a little bit about the things that Martin Luther King said to do. To his own people, because those are the people that we have to be. We're on the verge of making some real inroads. I can't believe how many things that I've said in there in the last few months as I read more and more about Martin Luther King. He said the same thing. I know what they're doing, and I know what he did, and it's not the same. Before I show you this board, I want to explain something. The 1960s were all about an oppressive government that was out of control, and people like J. Edgar Hoover, and then Martin Luther King. And that was the real struggle. The real struggle was J. Edgar Hoover against Martin Luther King. J. Edgar Hoover used to say that Martin Luther King was a communist. Well, now Al Sharpton and NAACP and everybody else is saying he's basically a communist as well. I don't believe he was. I believe Martin Luther King surrounded himself with some people like the labor unions that had communist infiltrators in there. And so he was getting help from the communists, but I don't believe he was. I think he may have been used, or he used them as fuel. But it was not a communist movement. It was a spiritual revival. It was a God movement. Now, I want you to remember Martin Luther King and J. Edgar Hoover. That was the struggle in the 1960s. Let me show you what's happening today before we go back to J. Edgar Hoover and Martin Luther King. These are the big players in the world right now on the things that are happening. Big education is fundamentally involved in everything that is happening. Soros, the Tides Foundation, Open Society. Anonymous is now starting to take a big role. SEIU and AFL-CIO. Russia and Putin is now in control. I remember I said that about 8 years ago. And I said, he's going to come roaring back. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, really. Here's Occupy Wall Street, Islamic extremism, Iran, the White House, and the media. These are all the real players that are causing so many problems right now. So let's look at them. Let's look at them. Let's see what they have in common. Do they have? Let's just use one topic, and you could do this all day. But let's use the topic of Iran. Big education is all against, Israel. All against Israel. They're always inviting Ahmadinejad. In fact, do we have the stuff from Horowitz? Can we show any of this? Here, play this. This is from Horowitz on what's happening on our campuses.
Will you condemn Hamas?
Would I condemn Hamas?
As a terrorist and genocide organization?
Are you asking me to put myself on a cross?
So you won't.
Okay. They're constantly shouting down. That's important to remember. Shouting down on campuses anybody who disagrees with them. This is an open place. This is an open society. This is a place where we're free to exchange ideas unless they disagree with you. Then you're shouted down or bullied. Big education is fostering this. Big education is connected to Occupy Wall Street. It is their design. And now you're seeing it. They're having classes all over the country that are sending kids into Occupy Wall Street for study purposes. You see SEIU is involved. Okay, anti-Israel, anti-Israel, anti-Israel. Russia, anti-Israel. Anonymous. Do we have the Anonymous piece? Anti-Israel. Watch this. This is the latest from Anonymous.
The American Israel Public Affairs Committee wants to lobby for more wars, more destruction, more deaths than they already have committed, and unfortunately, our president has decided to defend them for it. Our government's foreign policy has no sovereignty to America. Its sovereignty is to the state of Israel. PAC is now our enemy. We're calling for an occupation of PAC and the destruction of their websites. Make them pay for their crimes. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We must certainly not forget. Expect
Does that bother anybody that he's saying we are Legion? My gosh. Okay. Anti-God as well. Anti-God, 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 anti-God. Anti-Israel. I don't know what that God is. Anti-God, anti-Israel. Anti-God, anti-Israel. Anti-God, anti-Israel. You see the pattern here? And you can do it over and over and over again. Now, what is this? These are all separate groups. Supposedly, they're all working separately. These two, Iran and Russia, are there, and they're playing more and more of a role, but they're not the big players here. Russia and Anonymous are connected because, what's his name, Julian Assange, he's now working for Russia television. Globally, here in America, he's being put on Putin's Voice of Russia. So let's look at this. Let's look at who these people are and how they're connected. Now let me show you how the game is played. If you say, for instance, I'm for Israel, you will be demonized by education. You'll be demonized by Open Society, Tides, or Soros, or one of the Tides is up here because Tides will just open up a shop. Glenn Beck's an anti-Semite, whatever. They'll open it up and they'll just funnel money from Tides through Soros right into whatever shop it is. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you say, they pay for a smear campaign. The White House, and you just saw this last week, the White House comes in and helps shore it up. Oh, well, we're very disappointed in whatever. And the media does the same thing. You're going to get attacked everywhere. And you think that you're surrounded, but you're not. It's really one source. It's one source. But it's all connected, and some of the dopes, the useless idiots, they don't even understand it. They don't even know who they're working for. They're just part of a cause, hope and change, or whatever it is. They're not even looking. Are there connections? Are there reasons why all of this is happening? Yes. Yes. For those of you who speak Russian, communism. All right. Here's the first thing I want you to understand. It's all the same. They're all connected to each other. It's all the same. They may have, these guys may have a different plan than these guys. These guys may have a different plan than these guys or this. But they're all working together. Got it? You have to understand that, because when people are attacked on multiple fronts, you have to understand it's all coming from one source or one agenda. First thing, they're all the same. They're all anti-capitalist, 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 anti-capitalist. Got it? Different agendas, except they're all anti-Israel, all anti-capitalist. They make you feel alone. They will isolate you. Where did I read that? Oh, that's Sololinsky, taught here, 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 and taught here. Got it? Sololinsky. They make you feel alone and small. They make you feel overwhelmed and surrounded. But you're not. It's just giant dollars and giant power that makes you feel that way. Now here's where it gets good. This is why they will fail. And this is why we have to be strong and we have to be good at all times. I really believe there's times, because you look at people like Bernardine Dorn and William Ayers, that guy's filled with so much hate, and so is she. So much hate. They were arrested time and time again. They wear that as a badge of honor, but they are filled with hatred. When the power really goes bad and it's being rotten at the DOJ like nobody's business, there will be arrests of people like me or whoever. There will be arrests. It will happen. And, you know, you can't say you really have faith. You can't say you're really who you really are until you are really tested. Martin Luther King found this out. They're going to have to, that's what they're doing right now. That's why they're saying that they're going to drag people off the streets and they can hold you without, trial, et cetera, et cetera. That's what they're doing. That's what they're building. And it's for revenge purposes, I really, truly believe. But again, here's where it gets good. They have to create the problem. They create the problem, and then they have a solution. Problem created, problem created, problem created, solution. Got it? In the 1960s, the problem was J. Edgar Hoover. The solution was Martin Luther King. Problem, solution. The problem was J. Edgar Hoover was eavesdropping, he was blackmailing, he was strong-arming, he was building files, he bullied his way through government at all levels, he told local police exactly what to do, he worked behind closed doors, nobody knew for sure what he was doing, and he aimed for a large, oppressive government just to protect you. Got it? 1960s. Problem. Solution. Martin Luther King. He stood up for the little guy. He said character matters. He was deeply and profoundly religious. He built a coalition of like-minded people. He peacefully marched in the streets. He created a culture. He was out front and in the open, and he was the best of all of us. Here is, let me say it like Yoda, this is why they'll fail. They'll fail because they're trying to occupy both places, the problem and the solution. Let me ask you, the White House, are they eavesdropping? Yeah, he said he hated that. He said he hated that. What, they're doing it. Are they eavesdropping? Are they blackmailing? I don't know, but do you not think that blackmail is happening or payoffs is happening someplace? Look at Acorn. Strong-arming. Are they strong-arming? You bet they are. Are they building files? You bet they are. Are they bullying their way through government? Oh, like that would put this guy to shame. They're telling local police what to do? I don't know. But through the unions and Occupy Wall Street, what we're seeing, through the unions, I think they are. They're working behind closed doors. There's no transparency. And they're working for a large oppressive government. That's these guys. That's what they're working for, is all of these things to control you, to create a better society. But in doing so, they have to throw you off the track. So what do? They present themselves as this guy, Dr. Martin Luther King. Well, now, wait a minute here. You can't be both. So let's see what they have in common. Well, they say they're standing up for the little guy. He actually was. But these guys only mimic that. This is where it gets good. They're only mimicking that. MSNBC standing up for the little guy? Really? Are they? Labor unions standing up for the little guy? Really? Big education standing up for the little guy? No. They're standing up for power. All of this is about power. So they're not standing up for the little guy. They're mocking it and mimicking it. Character matters? Not at all. Religious? They're mimicking that. Van Jones is character matters. He's trying to make himself sound like, oh, character matters. Mimic. Built a coalition of like-minded? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, that they've done. Oh, they've done wonders of like-minded people all around the world. That one they keep. Peacefully marched in the streets. Occupy Wall Street? Nope, got to say a big negatory on that one. Created a culture? Oh, there's quite a culture that has been created. So got to leave him that one. He was out front and in the open. Nope. And the best of humanity? Well, Van Jones says Occupy Wall Street is, but I think So what do they have? They have the telltale sign of they have built a coalition of the like-minded. They don't believe in this stuff. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in peace. They don't believe in any of that stuff. They'll rip your heart out and eat it in front of you. They've built a coalition of like-minded people to do this. And they've created a culture here to empower them to do this, to make you feel alone. And what is that culture? The thing J. Edgar Hoover used to say that Martin Luther King was. Communist. He's not. Martin Luther King, I really don't believe was a communist. But those who helped him build his coalition, many of them were. And they're all the people that built this coalition. Don't be sucked into the game. Don't buy into it that you're alone. Don't make sure your friends understand how it's all connected. And know that you win. Because they cannot be an eavesdropping, blackmailing, strong-arm, building files, bullying their way through government, telling local police what to do, working behind closed doors, and aiming for large, oppressive government people while being the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. They'll have to choose. And in the end, they will choose this, because this is who they really are. We must be this. Back in a minute.